The book of First Chronicles, part of the Old Testament, provides a historical account of Israel from Adam to King David. Its primary purpose is to emphasize God's covenant with David and highlight the centrality of the temple in Israel's worship. Below is a detailed summary. Genealogies, chapters 1 to 9. This section traces the lineage from Adam to the Israelites, focusing on tribes, leaders, and significant individuals. 1. Adam to Abraham, chapter 1, a summary of humanity's origins and the patriarchs leading to Abraham. 2. Descendants of Israel, chapters 2 to 8. Judah's lineage, detailed due to its connection to David and the messianic promise. Other tribes, genealogies of Simeon, Levi, focuses on priestly duties, Benjamin, Ephraim, and others. 3. Post-exile settlers, chapter 9, lists families returning from Babylonian exile and their roles in rebuilding the community, especially priests and Levites. 6. The reign of David, chapters 10 to 29. This section focuses on David's rise, his reign, and his preparations for the temple, portraying him as Israel's ideal king under God's covenant. 1. Saul's death, chapter 10. Saul's downfall is attributed to his unfaithfulness to God, paving the way for David. 2. David becomes king, chapters 11 to 12. Chronicles David's anointing as king and his conquest of Jerusalem, highlights the loyalty of his mighty men and their exploits. 3. David's achievements, chapters 30 to 16, brings the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem, institutes worship with priests and musicians, emphasizing the centrality of worship. 4. God's covenant with David, chapter 17. God promises to establish David's dynasty forever, linking it to the Messiah. 5. Military victories and expansion, chapters 18 to 20, chronicles David's conquests and victories over surrounding nations, fulfilling God's promise of land. 6. Census and consequences, chapter 21. David's sinful census leads to a plague, but he repents and buys the threshing floor of Ornan, the future temple site. Preparations for the temple, chapters 22 to 27. David amasses materials and organizes Levites, priests, and musicians for temple service, assigns military and civil officials to ensure orderly governance. 8. David's final words and temple plans, chapters 29, charges Solomon to build the temple and follow God's laws. The assembly rejoices as David dedicates his resources for the temple. David's death marks the transition to Solomon's reign. Themes in First Chronicles. 1. Davidic covenant. God's promise to David of an eternal dynasty emphasizes hope in the Messiah. 2. Worship in the temple, central to Israel's identity and relationship with God. 3. Faithfulness and leadership. Chronicles idealizes David as a model of devotion and leadership, contrasting with Saul's failure. 4. Restoration and continuity. The genealogies connect post-exilic Israel to its heritage, affirming God's faithfulness. Purpose. First Chronicles reaffirms the Davidic kingship and temple worship for the post-exilic community. It reminds Israel of their identity as God's chosen people and the enduring nature of God's promises.